Ooh. Oh. Ta-da! Hey everybody, thank you for joining. This is Saturday morning. Gonna do a live stream here of just doodling. I am actually in the process of putting or doing like a digital painting for my monthly newsletter cover. So this is the November newsletter that I need to get kicked out today to all my patrons. Um, so I'm gonna start off be working on that, and we'll see what's going on with anybody that joins up. So if you haven't yet, please follow me here on Twitch, and if you're watching this later on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel to get all of my video updates. Let me jump over into the stream. Okay, so this is a page from my coloring book that I'm working on, but I'm using this for the cover uh, of the monthly newsletter. And so I took the line art and I'm doing a digital painting, uh, just coloring everything in basically. And so far, I've got kind of the mountains in the background set up. I've just been working on painting my cleric over here on the side. Let me zoom in here. So, this girl wearing the blue and gold, uh, that is my elf cleric, and so I've been painting her in, and I just happened to look at the clock, saw that it was time to start the stream, so I figured I better jump in here. And I've got another project that we started last week of a drawing of my character Reaper or Battle Reaper. We open that up. That's going to be, and let's see here. Yeah. All right. So this was the project that we started last week where we did some sketching. I've got the line art actually turned down real low. Crank that back up, and I'll turn off the render layer and the palette. So we just did this simple doodle last week, laying out like a full page, and then I started adding in the gray values. So this is going to be like Battle Reaper, um, in front of these mountains with this lava flow coming out of that skull, which will probably be part of the mountain. And I'm not liking the way that is actually set up right now, where it's completely separate. So we'll probably change that up a bit. Um, but anyway, for the time being, I'm gonna work on this, and if you jump in, feel free to throw something in the chat and talk about something. Uh, Other than that, we'll just be doodling away. All right, so as I said, I've been painting the character, gone through and blended her colors and made it look as nice as I can here. Now I'm going to need to work on the magic that goes around her mace. It's got this glow yellowish magic, and I'm not happy with the way that's turning out with the way that what do you call it? Uh, wow. The way that the background is showing through there, because it doesn't really give it that glow effect that I want. So what I'm gonna do is make a selection, make it a circle just like I did before. I'm gonna try to line this thing up the best I can. Tricky. I know I did a circle. Huh. Well, it's just about there. All right. So that is my selection. And I'm just going to throw this on a new layer, which I'm actually going to want to have above my line art. Actually, not yet, but okay. So I'm going to use a gradient to fill that in, and I'm going to change it up a little bit. Um, so I went with like yellow to transparent, but that didn't work out very well. I'll just pick the first one here. We're going to make it at its darkest color. I'll actually make it a really saturated gold color. And at its lightest color, I'm actually going to go to white. And then in the middle, I just want to make sure that we do hit that good solid yellow color. There we go. Let's see how that works out. Now using the gradient, got it set to circle. If I drag it out there, okay, so that's about right. But what if we... So I'm just trying to figure out how far out I want to go. I think I need to adjust the gradient itself. So I'm going to want to kick this back to about, say, like 25%. And maybe even kick this down to about 75. Let's try that. All right, now we're cooking. Go a little bit outside. No, I do want to keep that orangish gold ring at the outer edge of it. But that I am pretty happy with. Okay. So I can deselect that. And the reason I put it on its own layer is because it's going, number one, behind the dwarf's head. So we're not going to see that. All of that right there is gone. And then I don't actually want it to cover her hand. I don't think. I mean, I might leave it that way. Let's leave it that way for now. But yeah. I mean, really, if the light was being cast that way, it would overpower um what do you call it? Her the colors in her hand and everything. And even in the mace itself. So we'll just leave it like that for now. And I'm gonna take these bright colors and bring them. Oh, I'm using a less than full opacity brush. I don't want that because I don't want the soft scribbly bits. I want solid colors. And that should do. Then let's go ahead and grab some white. just kind of try to give these things a little bit of like an inner glow. So they're sort of like little light motes or particles or whatnot. I'll put some of those in there. In the end, I might end up having to get rid of the outlines of the magic. I'm gonna leave that like that for now, I think. There we go. At least now I've got that nice glowy look going there. So I'm pretty happy with that for the time being. And I think she is done. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the dwarf fighter. So you can see his colors are all splotchy, kind of almost like a vector graphic. Um, but it's not. It's just I just splattered in colors at 100% opacity to lay out the general colors that I wanted to use in the character. And I'm going to adjust my brush back down to 40% opacity, 60% flow, and we're just going to start painting him on his own layer. And he is on top of the cleric and her magic, so I'm just create a new layer and I'm going to name it so I can identify it. Okay, so we're zoomed into 100% right now. And you can see this dark tone I've got in his skin, like right where his hairline is. That's like the shadow tone. I'm going to start with his hair, and I'm going to start by blocking in the darkest tone of his hair here. And I think I can use a bigger brush. So I'm not using fully dark, fully opaque colors. I'm using like slightly lighter colors, or not lighter, less opaque and less flow. So I get more of a painterly look. And I'm just trying to kind of sculpt in the shape of his hair based on the form of the character and the light source that I have. And I probably ought to make a point of including some of that yellow glow as like a rim light over there. Probably in his hair, on his skin, on his armor. So we're shaping things up here. Now, today I have my final meeting with my what is it called? My A club, my accountability club for Patreon. So we're gonna have our final meeting, talk about what we plan to do going forward into the next year. The things that we've learned from the meetings that we held. We shared a lot of information uh, between ourselves about all kinds of things like social media, how to use it for promoting our art, working with clients, advertising rates, or like advertising our rates, like in a general way for dealing with customers and clients. Um, so sort of like upfront pricing, stuff like that. And we did talk a little bit about our art processes, which uh, the club itself was mainly meant for um, traditional physical media, so like painting and drawing, not digital. But I ever since the club started, I've been working mainly digital because I've been working on my coloring book. which I started early in the year, and I want to get it done before Christmas. And we're actually getting pretty close. Tomorrow morning, I will be live streaming work on the coloring book, and I'm on page 30 of 32. Uh, or I'll be starting page 30. So it's getting very close to being done, and I'm looking forward to getting that completely finished and put together and put it out there as an actual product. All right, so still sculpting some shape here. And let's see that. Got a lot of big chunks in here that I don't really like. So because of where he's at, pretty much this whole side of his head should be in shadow. And so I had way too much variation in the color in his hair. Down. All right. Same thing going on over here in the beard. I want to definitely darken that up. And the mustache right here. I'll go back to my main tone here. I'll just bring some of this back in. All right. I like where we're going with this. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of all of that light tone that I had in there. And let's grab some of this yellow with a smaller brush. Yeah, just kind of stroke that in along the edge here. Maybe put a little bit right here, a little bit there. That should kind of help to tie him in. I won't put any over here because of the distance and the actual orientation of that area. Oh boy. So, as I said, this is one of the pages from my coloring book. I had my wife uh, pick one to use for the cover of this month's newsletter, and so she chose this one, and I think she liked it most because of the mountains and yeah, just mainly the mountains probably, but and the well, it's got the forest too. Let me zoom back out again. But yeah, so I've got the mountains, the forest, the fog, which she didn't like the fog, but I think that was mainly because the fog was really simple. Like I've actually colored stuff in there, but yeah, so it's getting where I want it to be. Let's see. So we're working on the dwarf here, and so I'm not going to have all these highlights in his face because it's not that bright over there. I'm going to knock down the shadow a little bit and then spread it out. Soften that tone up a good bit. So I'm not really going for like full on realism or anything like that. I'm just going for fairly realistic. Sort of like a little bit more than your typical cartoon, but not as much as like a full on we call it realism painting. do the same thing over here, going around his eye, adding a little bit of shadow area there. Darken some in right there. A bit more here. He does have like wrinkles around his eyes, showing some of his age. And bring that around. All right. And let's see, I'm going to spread this out just a bit more. Just kind of level out that tone a bit more so it's a bit darker, a little bit more of that red, swarthy mountain dwarf skin tone that I imagine they would have. A little bit reddish. And reduce this bit right here. Okie dokie. And we'll do the ear. So I wanted to keep it kind of dark inside of his ear for the reason of course, being less in the light, but also you've got a lot of what do you call it? Like the ears tend to have very, I don't know, thin skin, and the blood is more prevalent there. So your ears are generally a little bit more reddish than some of your other parts. Same thing happens with like the tip of your nose and your cheeks and stuff. Okay. Just deepen in some of that a little bit more. And now for the neck. Go ahead and leave that piece right there fully dark. Carry it along to about there. And then start easing up on that dark tone as we move forward. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of that yellow. Just put a little stroke right there. You might not even actually see that if it was real, but I feel like that just kind of helps to tie the image together. Okay, so back over here to this neck muscle and the chin. We're going to keep this relatively dark, but it should be lighter than the like the sculpted line of his jaw right there. I might have said chin instead of jaw, but I meant jaw. There we go. Bringing in that dark tone. Leveling things out a little bit here. One of the handy things about having the line work is that don't have to worry about going like perfectly to the edge of the form. But like if I turn the line work off, everything becomes a little bit sloppy and blurry. if I wanted to do like a full-on painting, I'd get rid of the line work altogether. All right, so I knocked that highlight color down a couple of values, and then just spread that out a bit. Bring this in some more. Bring that back up some more. Just blending colors. Zoom back out. Yeah, I like the way he looks. So now his skin has a much softer appearance to it than what it did before. A little bit more fleshy. And I could make his face like a lot darker, really, but I don't think I really want to. Although I do kind of want to have more contrast right here. And I could always grab other colors, but yeah, I think I'll leave it just like that. I think that's good. Zoom back out again. Yeah. All right. So now we can start working on the armor. Now this time around, when I colored his armor, I decided he was going to have this gray iron armor with like some silver trim. So that's kind of what I was going for there. And same thing, I've got this splotchy color job that I put on there. But we're gonna go ahead and start with I'm gonna spread the darkest tone in a little bit and just kind of blend with that. Now his armor, his shoulder pads here have some kind of crazy uh, shape to them. I want to make sure that I keep as much of that as I can here. Bring that in a little bit and let this come back out some. And it doesn't have to be like perfectly smooth, it just needs to be reasonably close to what I want it to look like. And I'm not actually masking anything right now. Try to keep it within my sections. And if I go over a little bit, then I'll just tidy up a little bit later on. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and use some of this bright yellow. Bring that in right along the edge here. Then I'm also going to try cutting to white. Okay, I can do that. I could even carry a little bit of that yellow into the gray. That will make it look like the armor is actually being lit, taking on some of the color from the lighting. Okay. Now, if I want to really worry about the trim here, I can create a mask. I'm using the polygon masking tool right here to just kind of sketch out along the black outline. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and take it right through all of this trim in that section. Which masking like this just really allows me, number one, it's going to keep things where I want them, but it allows me to be a little bit more sloppy when I work on it. Because I'm not going to paint anywhere except where I've got the selection. So I can use a big brush and just kind of slap it all in there. And not have to worry about any of the other stuff. Now really, that piece that's kind of tucked down under there, it's probably not going to get any light, but I'm going to leave just a little bit in there. Now up here, go ahead and spread this darker tone a little bit more. Go with my lighter tone and really get that edge back in there and out there on the outer edge. Then we'll actually get some of that yellow right there and put some right there as well. Then let's see, we'll take, because this is a rounded rolled edge, put on a little bit more of that color at the back edge to help show that it does catch light back there as well. And we'll do the same thing back here, just a little bit. And down here. I do feel like I need a darker tone in that. So let me pick a color. Let's go a little bit more blue violet and bring it down a good bit darker. So that's going to give me a slightly better contrast in that area. And it lets me push the shadows just a little bit further in the darker areas. And I could push it further, but this should be enough, I think. Okay. Let's deselect that. Okay. I think that looks pretty decent. Okay, coming down to this bulge on the side of the character. I think I carried my dark a little bit too far there. So I'm starting with that mid-tone, bring it in just a little bit. Maybe push it just a little bit further. Take it up a little bit. And I want to kind of keep that shape where that shoulder pad is casting some shadow. Go ahead and edge this. And blend, bringing in some of that lighter value a little bit. And knocking it back down. Okay. And we'll go ahead and take a little bit of this yellow white and just bring it in right there. But maybe knock it down a bit more. So we're just getting a hint of that color. There we go. Okay. So now let's jump into this piece of trim. carry that darker value that I've got there right across that, and maybe keep it up here at the top too. It would actually be very difficult to get any good lighting, like bright lights, on that piece. But I'll put just a tiny bit of it right there. And I'm going to grab some of that darker value that I made. Bring that in as well. Bring it back over here. And carry just a little bit of backlighting down there on the bottom edge. Now, because his back armor or whatever here is below the other stuff and kind of taking shadow, I'm going to darken that down a little bit. It goes like 2 times over each area. And the reason I'm doing it twice is because I'm using my brush with the 40% opacity. So I'm building a little bit at a time here. There we go. That'll keep that down lower than everything else. Spread some color. Same process again, just spreading colors, blending things together to make it more of a soft and subtle blend here. Oops. Okay, do that again. There we go. Now that under piece, the main body part of his armor is darker than the other parts. I think I'm gonna have to take a break real soon though, and just a short one. But gotta go take care of some things. So let me go ahead and let me get through the back, and then I'll go do that real quick and come back to get everything going some more. I don't think I'm gonna mask this time. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in. Go right down the form. I'm gonna leave that very bottom piece for later. That is I don't know, it's kind of like his belt piece that carries through from the upper body to the lower body. Center. Already did that one, so let's do this bit here. Darkest color. sort of like silver or steel. Let's see, we're not going to put any yellow over there because it's too far from that light source and not catching it directly. Let's spread this blue just a little bit more. This piece, I think we'll just stick with that dark value. Carry this one over some more. I don't want this panel or piece to be competing with the arm armor as far as values go, because I want that arm to be visibly in front of this. Smooth these values a bit. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and take a little break. I'll be back in a few minutes and get back to working on this guy. Yeah. All right. I'm back. Had to take a quick little break there. Usually, well, we did make it almost an hour before I had to take a break, so that's not too bad, I guess. All right. Let's see. So we've got an offer to promote the channel with viewers, followers, views, and chatbots. Uh, I don't think so. Not today. But I guess go to dogehype.com if you want such things for your stream. Alrighty. So, anyway, this morning we're working on right now the cover for the monthly newsletter that goes out to my Patreon patrons, and it's December 3rd. This is my November newsletter. I usually put them out at the end of the month. I try usually to get them out within like the last week of the month that they're for. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, and the only reason this one is being held up is the cover, which I didn't have any time to do this week because I've been basically working overtime every day, doing like 12-hour shifts, and yeah, so that's the crappy thing about doing art on the side and working a regular job. But we're getting there. Let's get back to the art stream page here. Okay, so when I just took this break, I was working on the dwarf fighter down here. I blended in his hair and his skin tone there in his head, and started through the armor. We're getting to this main shoulder pad, which is like the most dynamic part of the character. Let's see. So we're gonna do. What size is my brush? 25. I'm gonna reduce that down to about 15. Maybe 20. I want to keep it somewhat big. So we're gonna start with this trim, the rolled edge of the shoulder pad here. Bring in my shadows, and I'm gonna go ahead and level that one out right there. And of course, as we're zoomed in this close, you can probably see that little flood fill thing over there in my shadow, where it leaves that little seam around where I made a selection. We can fix all that later. Um, that's not actually part of this character, so don't want to put it on this layer. Okay, got that laid in. Let's grab my dark value that I made recently. We're gonna create a little bit more contrast in here for like the darkest edge of this roll. Definitely gonna have it out here. And bring it across. Okay. I think we're just about there. Move that down a little bit more. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of this brightest. Just kind of stroke that on there. Bring it here in the center. And it really wouldn't be over here at all, but no, let's leave it out of there. Okay. So now we're
good to go with starting on the actual bulk of the shoulder pad. I'm going to start down here at the bottom. I'm going to go back to this medium tone. I'm going to put that along the edge over there. I'm going to do it up here too. Because metal, um, well, most things will catch light and bounce it on their dark edges, but metal will do it even more so than say like something soft like cloth. Well, unless it's a shiny cloth. So metallics, um, reflective type things, they'll do more. All right. Now this bottom piece here is actually like angled downward. Let's see. So I want to definitely bring that value down. But it flares out in this big arcing thing, but it's also kind of angling up or and down, depending on how you really look at it there. Slightly complicated shape. And let's see. So I'm carrying these dark values in to keep that area darker than the upper areas will be. And I'm going to go ahead and knock down that lightest value that I had in there. Okay. Oops, making it a bit bigger, about 30. Spread this general tone a bit more. All right, now cooking. All right, so now it's darker down there, but it's also got some of that reflectivity going on, and catching some light. Let's put that there. All right, I think I'm happy with that section. We might come back to it. Go ahead and carry this dark shadow along this edge. And then I'm going to carry this light shadow along this edge. Well, not shadow, the light value. There we go. Kind of splatter that in there in my goofy dark spots that are floating around. But yeah, so at work, we're coming into the busy season, and of course, in the busy season, we're always short-handed, so things have gotten, where there's always overtime, always more stuff to do, and nobody there to do it. And when we get to that situation, then it cuts into my art time because I can't come home and work. And I really don't like it. But that's part of the nature, I guess, of making a living, right? All right, so starting to blend this shoulder pad, this big section of it. And let's see, so gotta kind of figure out how bright I really want to make it. And this is with this main band of it that flows here. This will be the area that probably is brightest, unless a different part of it happens to be getting direct light. Okay. And I'm also thinking I might want to add some lighter value to this, like maybe even some actual shiny highlight. Just making this blend together a little bit more. Let's go ahead and carry that over there. And go a second time right there. Figure out where I want it to level out at roughly, and then start trying to smooth it out. We got this thing right here. Now I want to try to make sure I don't get any weird banding going on in my blend over here. Like when I select the wrong value and carry it in. All right, I think that looks pretty good. All right, it's nice and smooth. And let's see, zoom back into 100%. Reduce my brush. Transition here. Maybe knock some of this down. Now, another thing that's going on is that I have these notches, like nicks, in the armor, and I want to make sure that they stand out. Okay. And I could always paint more texture in here, going like putting in little dings and scrapes and stuff if I wanted to. And that would definitely be a thing for if I wanted to make this like a hyper realistic painting. But I don't think I'm going to be doing that. Just trying to basically color it and make it look pretty decent. Okay, now I'm gonna take this white, that's almost white, that's in that fog, edge that right along here. Go ahead and bring in sort of a highlight right here. I don't want to make it too smooth. I want to have some of these kind of like sketchy lines in here. Probably want more of that right back here. Might even put a touch of it into some of these next. I can kind of just sketch out some more highlight here. And doing it this sketchy way kind of gives it that, I don't know, the brushed look of like stainless steel. One of those things that might not look super great when you're zoomed in all the way, but it looks pretty decent there. And if I keep that going with all of the different colors or all the different values, it'll help to give that, it'll give a bit more of that texture to the picture. But I feel like this section down here is just too light. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Bring it up in there. Out again. All right. So I don't know. It might even look a little bit more like plastic than metal, but or polished stone, maybe. Not sure. Okay, let's go back here. Knock that down to about there. Stretch it out to there. Same general thing. I'm just trying to blend my values together so that they change across the form with the way that the light should be hitting it. Okay. So this top section has a different angle to it than that main section we just did. And let's see. Just get that in right there. Doing a little bit of that same sketchiness here. Oops, that was a big one. Not sure what happened there. All right. Well, it definitely looks a little bit shiny. It's smooth. Yeah, so it's kind of looking to me like what do you call it? Like probably like plastic armor, like you might see in a movie, like say Starship Troopers or something like that. That's what it's making me think of. And that's not really what I'm looking for. I want it to be more metallic. But also, I'm not liking the bottom part. It's maybe not as reflective as it ought to be. Carry that there. Grab some of this tone. Bring it in right here. Maybe it's kind of like brushed nickel. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I'm not sure. But it looks like something I've seen before. And it's not quite, or maybe it's like a satin finish. Maybe that's what the issue is. Instead of being like a polished metal, having more of that satin look. Okay, take a little bit of this white and bring it in here, but knock it down a touch. Let's see how that looks. So that way now it's actually catching that light down there as well. And the shoulder pad is clearly separated into its three sections. The upper arch, the main band, and the lower arch. All right, let's just move on, and if I still don't like it later, come back to it. Coming into the it's not really the bicep because it's the back of the arm, but it is the upper arm armor here. We're getting, of course, a shadow cast by the shoulder pad. Down onto the piece. And some shadow from just the change in direction of the form away from the light. Brightest point is, of course, right out here because of where the light is. Some of that in. On that edge. And carry some down here as well. And keeping some of that brushed stroke look to it. Now, same thing here. The same general design as the shoulder pad. The armor has its main piece and then it slopes downward back into the rolled edge. bottom part to be catching less light than the main part. Maybe rough that up a little bit more there. Okay, now got the trim, rolled edge here on this piece of armor. Thinking that actually won't get that highlight. And then over here, it will be reduced until you get way over there. I might put just a touch of it there and not full strength either. But let me get my dark value for cast shadow there and the edge here. Bring it together right in that point. Just kind of carry some more form right there. All right. So I do think I'm liking the way that's looking. It's different, that's for sure. And I actually think that maybe this just needs to expand some more. All right. And all the way down because it is a flat form. Or not flat, but it's a smooth face. That's what that is. It curves, but it's all generally equal, except for anything that happens to be like a nick or a scratch or something. I will carry just a few of these in to maintain that pattern. There we go. All right. So let's see. Next up, let's go ahead and do those belts in his back. I skipped those. So these are actually pretty simple because they're just leather belts, but they're also like that's in shadow. And you got some texture to them. Throw a little bit more of that light value in there. Nothing too special here. Don't want that highlight though. So I'm knocking that down. There we go. Just enough to show you that they're there. There probably shouldn't be too much of a shadow cast by the belt because it ain't that big. There we go. All right. Go ahead and do the belt over here now too. Same thing. It's definitely not catching any light over here, or at least not direct light, like bright sunlight. So that's the darkest value that I have for the belt. And then I'll just kind of put in some of this lighter value so it doesn't get lost completely in the darkness over there. All right, jumping into his flesh tone here. We are again over here in mostly in shadow, plus you've got shadows being cast by the armor itself. But I will give him a little bit of a rim light along his bicep there. Blend it in right up there. Here, we'll just smooth things out a little bit. Now, same thing, there shouldn't be that much shadow coming from the belt. Probably not quite as much from that armor either. So, knock this back just a little bit. And then bulge this form a little bit more here. Carry my backlight around the form. There we go. Blend it in just a little bit right there. Smooth this out. Just working one little section at a time. Oh, before I go over there. So that part of the armor is dark because it's along the back edge there, but I'm going to go with some of this light tone and bring that along the edge because I want to have some visibility there. I don't want it to get completely lost or look completely flat. That should do. Right, coming back to the arm. So let's see. First of all, that little section is part of the glove, not his skin. Carry this line here. Back up to a size of 20 for spreading the colors. All right. I'm going to leave this highlight tone in, but I'm going to bring it back over here. Like that. Get rid of this bit. Now I could carry it that way a little bit, but I don't want to do it too far or too much. And again, trying to maintain some of this dark reddish brown tone because he is a mountain dwarf and they have that darker reddish flesh tone. So what we're running up against right here is a combination of shadow forms from the armor and the change in his uh, forms in his muscles. Okay, so this piece, let me bring some more darkness down here. Not fully dark, but not fully bright either. That way. Okay. Getting into the elbow now. And I'm not going to keep that highlight in the elbow. That makes it too, I don't know, knobby and too shiny. And this particular bit of muscle, that will leave this bit right here. All right, let me zoom out and okay. I think that's looking decent. Now we'll tackle that one last piece of armor before we, right here. Starting over here with this part of the ring. Get my dark value here. Drop this down a bit. That section. Color for the trim. Carry that highlight across there. And grab that darker value for my contrast. Okay. Now, this side, we're going to do the same thing as what I did with the belly part. And a bit. And oops, got this trim to deal with. I'm not going to leave any highlight on that piece because it's so far back there and behind his arm. And let's see, so let's grab that darkest value, curve this along right here. Bring it along like that. Now, if I put that in there at all, it's like a little stroke of it and knock it down. I could do it one more time right here. That'll do. So we are getting through it, and it's not going as fast as I'd like it to, but we are getting through it, and I do think it's looking pretty decent. Let's see. So still got to do his glove and his hand and his sword and his lower body and the belt. And then I got 3 more characters and some background and some foreground. Lots to do. All right, let's go ahead and do the belt first. So I'm going to keep that area dark, same as what I've been doing with the other areas there. But get my middle tone and bring in like a backlight edge there. Maybe throw a couple of strands in there just to make it so it doesn't disappear. Put like a little bit of illumination there on that piece of armor. That'll help separate it from his glove as well. Oh boy. All right, let's work on the belt. Now this belt being on top can actually get the highlight, and it'll make sense. First, I'm going to stroke in these striations, the texture of the belt. And I'm going to go ahead and put my highlight over here at the far edge and across the top. Then it can also come down along the opposite side of those striations. I think that's plenty. Put my brown tone back in here. Try to level things out a bit. That should do. It's standing out. Looks like a belt. Moving down to the armor. So again, we've got shadows. Now this belt, unlike the other ones, is a bit bigger, a bit thicker. So it casts a little bit more shadow than they do. away from the light over here. Knock that dark value back a little bit. Okay. And this highlight that I had, I'm knocking that down and then blending it in. So there's still a little bit of brightness there, but it's not nearly as bright as what I had it when I roughed this in earlier. Okay. Over here, that down. I'm going to keep my highlight over here at the edge. Bring that in. And blend it. And maybe I'll pop that back in just a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Oh, so another thing that's going on is that one of the groups I'm in on Facebook, they do a. Apparently, they've been doing it for 5 years. I think I only joined them this year, but they do a Secret Santa for art, and so they had. Well, they put out a call. Anybody that wanted to join up could provide an image of their own original character, like a any character really, but a lot of people it looks like they're doing like Dungeons and Dragons characters that they've made or play or whatever. And what they do is they match up the different artists with other people's characters. So like I put in my character and somebody will be doing a drawing of my character as part as their Secret Santa thing, and I was assigned a person, and I will be drawing their character. And on the off chance that that person actually ever happens to watch my stream, I'm not going to stream that or put it on here. But I think that's it's cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing who does my character. So I don't think they don't tell you who is going to do your character. Like that part of it is definitely secret. So you will find out during the final reveal party, which I think is on December 21st, if I remember right. Who's doing who drew your character, and then you also reveal your drawing of the other person's character. So it should be kind of fun. I'm looking forward to that. All right. If there's any highlight, I guess it'll be right there, and it probably shouldn't be at all, but we'll leave it there for now. Strengthen that piece and get my dark value for some shade and contrast. A little bit of shadow right there on that next plate that goes down. And that one should not have highlight on it because it's going down along that leg. But I might put just a touch of it there, just a little bit. Okay, let's get that plate in. So let's see. That comes around like that. That's actually his leg right there. That is the ground. Oh, excuse me. Alrighty. So talking about things that are going on, things that I'm doing, things I'm trying to do. So I am let's see, I'm planning to do a whole bunch of art reviews. Or not art reviews, art product reviews, how about that? And demonstrations. I've done some in the past, but I've got a whole bunch of art supplies, some of which I use regularly, and I figure I might want to go ahead and do a review on them. Some which I haven't really used yet, and I bought them specifically to do a review. I just never got around to it. So I'm gonna be doing that in the near future, and I put out a call for drawing requests. That must have been a month or two ago, and so I got a whole bunch of requests, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do these. When I do a review, I do a demonstration of the product. So like, I'll create something with it, show you, that you can use it, or that I can use it anyway. And so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do some of those drawings that are art requests, as the demonstration part of these products. And so the first one I'm going to be doing is I'm probably going to mess up this name, but I call it Koh-i-Noor. I'm going to put it in the chat just so that uh, there. There we go. So anyway, I call it Koh-i-Noor. That might be wrong or it might be right. I'm not sure. But anyway, they make they make a lot of things, but one of the things they make are woodless graphite pencils. And I actually have, I believe it's their set. I do have their set for sure in regular black graphite pencils, but I think I also have a set of their woodless colored pencils. I know I have some that are woodless and they're colored pencils, but I'm not sure if it's theirs or not. And so I'll be reviewing those along with some Arteza products and I'm even gonna do like a Crayola watercolor thing. But yeah, so going through all of my art stuff and doing some of these drawing requests and creating like product reviews and demonstrations. Okay, so now we are in the gauntlet. And I'm getting worn out, and we still have a little over 2 hours to go in this stream. I might end up having to terminate it early, unfortunately. And it's probably not helping that it is pouring rain outside today, which I didn't really know that. I knew I was feeling tired, but maybe that's why. Maybe it's just from working too much. But also today, I'm supposed to be changing my internet provider. But I'm not entirely sure that's going to go off the way it's supposed to because they still need to install, and I'm not sure they're going to rush out here to install the line in the rain on a Saturday. So, yeah, that might not work out. But we'll see. Okay. Violet. Get some tone into the rolled edges of these gauntlets. There, a lot more there. So there and right there. Okay. And we can zoom out again and take a look. And yeah, he's coming together. I do like the way he's looking. Um, got some metallic look to him, nice and sturdy. Mm. Just a touch, bringing this back edge of the gauntlets. Okay. I'm gonna try to shape these a little bit more, like instead of scribbling all that tone in, we're gonna try to do actual shapes to start with. Let's put that same edge down here. Oops. That one is flared like that. Okay. And do the same thing here. Try to maintain a shape. doing that, I can kind of keep my lighting on the gauntlet fairly even from one piece to the next. All right. And then for this piece, I think it should be actually more like right there. Bring it in right here. And then right here. Just a bit. And let's give it some of that stroked texture like I did earlier. Nice. Yeah, got that dull shine to it. So it's not like super reflective. Not like it might be like highly polished and attractive. It is literally like just some somewhat polished metal, more of a functional kind of look to it than the decorative. Okay, now let's get that. Am I at a? Yeah, I'm at 100%. Okay. So now we're gonna do the little hand cover piece. Do it. Go bring that in a little bit more. All right. Now for the hand itself. Been a little while since we did some skin on this character. Let's see. I don't think I'm really going to do a whole lot here, but I don't want to make his knuckles shiny, that's for sure. That was a little bit much. Just kind of want to blend some of this tone in. Feels a little bit more organic, a little bit more natural. darken in most of his fingers. Carry this tone in right there. Just blend it a bit, not a blip. Okay, and then I can even blend that color out a little bit. All right, we got some meaty hands. All right, we're getting into the sword now. And so the sword has leather wrap on it in the handle, just like his belt. We're going to need some of that dark tone. Probably not going to actually want to use that highlight tone at all. And this is one of those little areas that it doesn't need a lot of details. But then I'm thinking for the metal in his sword, yeah, we'll stick with this dark metal, but go with this. Put that in right there. All right. Now, the sword itself doesn't have a whole lot of what do you call it? It's like the way I colored it in when I was doing it really quick there initially was, I don't know, a bit too chunky. So it should not have nearly that much shadow and like chunkiness to it, because it is a little bit thinner, not quite so, I don't know, beveled and thick looking as what it looked like. And putting that dark edge on the back side of everything, that makes it look like it's beveled and thick, and, or even changing shapes, going in different directions, and it's not really what I wanted. Okay. And we're just gonna kind of scratch it up a little bit. Figure it probably, if it's an actual fighting sword, it's gonna take on, it's gonna get damaged. It's gonna get scratched up, nicked, whatever. All right. Cut down the size of that form right there. And also tighten it up along that circle. Mm-hmm. And I can also bring this medium tone in there, because we don't want it to be super dark. I just want it to seem slightly recessed. Maybe he could put gems in there. Maybe he had gems in there. Maybe somebody stole them. Who knows? Any number of things could be going on. Okay, same thing up here. I've got all that um, heavy shadow tone that I don't need in this form because it's not beveled and thick like that. And my highlight area should be smaller. Okay. And just go ahead and put some sketchy striations in here. Get some of that light highlight color there. I think that's looking pretty good. Take a look at it here. Okay. So yeah, it's a very plain looking sword. Kind of reminds me of I don't know, like something you might see from a Bud K catalog that you know, I don't know. I think that's kind of what the design makes me think of. Something that would have been like kind of cheap, but also pretty much just functional, at least once. All right, but now we need to do the blade. Now for the blade, I'm going to make a selection because I don't want to be making soft um, colored lines that go into other areas. There we go. Now I'm going to grab that purple color that I had made earlier. I'm going to fill in the blood groove with that. Then let's see. This color. Go ahead and bring in. So we can maintain the soft shading in the blade, but it's going to be probably the hard edges that make it look sharp and yeah, and like sharp and deadly. And I think the only place that I really want to have the truly white line is gonna be on the edges. All right, and for that, I'm actually gonna go to white instead of picking an off-white color from somewhere in the image. right along this edge. Oops. Trying to draw a straight line and going everywhere. Okay. And one last thing. I'll go ahead and do some strokes in here so it's not a perfectly smooth color. There we go. Break things up a little bit and keep them interesting. Okay, so yeah, I think he's about done. It'd be time to move on to the next character. But it is 6:10. I'm gonna go ahead and take another short break, get some more coffee, and I will be back in a minute. Well, a few minutes.
Okay, I am back, and I've got some more coffee, so we can keep on going. Let me jump back over here. So, I do want to just kind of go over everything. Today, I am working on the cover for my monthly newsletter, which is a page from my coloring book. This month, I'm doing a Secret Santa thing in a art group on Facebook, where I will be drawing someone else's character, and somebody will be drawing my character. But there's a whole lot of artists involved, so that should be a really cool party when that comes around. I'm doing Today is the final meeting for my art club on Patreon, which is a club for creators. But we're having our final meeting today. Then that club ends, and I might start another one in the spring or summer. But during the winter, I'm too busy with other things to continue running clubs. Let's see what else is going on. I'm working on my coloring book, and I'm trying to get that coloring book done in time for Christmas. It might be done around Christmas. I don't think it's going to be available till closer to like New Year's or later. Let's see. Oh, so I'll be doing more art product demonstrations and reviews in the near future. So I got lots of things going on, and and of course, every Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to be streaming. So on Saturdays, I will typically be working on doodling something. But like I said, today we're working on the cover for my monthly newsletter that goes out to all my Patreon patrons. Tomorrow, I'll be working on the coloring book, and we're at page 30 now out of the 32 pages. Once the coloring book is done, but getting ahead of myself. Uh, so I'm penciling the pages right now, and I still have everything from page 20 to the completion at page 32. Those will all have to be inked as well. But I'm penciling the pages, so there's only like 3 pages left to pencil. Got to do a cover for it, and then I have to go back through and ink from page 20 to 32 and the cover. And the cover will probably be colored. But yeah, so that'll be tomorrow morning. I will be streaming and working on page 30. Let's see. So let me get back to the art here. I think that covered everything that I'm doing. Okay, and so this is the cover for the monthly newsletter that I am working on today. And as soon as I get this cover done, it can go on the newsletter, and I can put that out for all my Patreon patrons. Let's see. So, nah. I do have a thing that I was gonna show you, but all it is it's a thing that like promoting my Patreon with all the stuff that my Patreon patrons are getting this month. But if I put that out again, I'm gonna do it after I've got the cover on the newsletter. And but I did put it on my Facebook page. So if you go over there, you can see it. And it has my blank covered newsletter listed on it. But we just did we I think we just finished working on the dwarf fighter, and so he's all painted in now. We're gonna move on into the background now. We're gonna do the Drow Paladin or Drow Paladin. Let me see. And so she's way in the background. I'm gonna put her below the cleric. Name my layers so I don't. So I know which one it is. And let's see, for the paladin, obviously I laid her in the same as everybody else with some really general basic colors. And I don't think I want to leave her armor completely gold. In fact, I'm thinking I'm going to want
Let me see what colors I've got in here already. I'm going to steal some of this light blue. I'm going to go ahead and crank my brush up to 100% here because I'm just going to scribble colors in real quick. I'm going to give her like silver armor and leave the trim and the sun emblems gold. So let's put that in there. Same thing down here, but there is trim on that piece. Excuse me. Okay. Run that right through there and touch it up later. This piece would be silver. This piece would be silver. This piece would be silver. Okay. Going back through the body some more. So just quickly changing what I had to give it a different look. A look that I think will work out better. And so one of the things that I want to stress about the coloring book is that there's no right or wrong way to color the characters. So, anything that I've done is not necessarily the right way. It's just the way I've done it. And, so there's, like, I'm pretty sure I've colored 3 different pictures of this paladin now. This will be like the 3rd. And I think I've colored her a little bit differently each time. And every time I'm just experimenting with different things. And like if you happen to be, like if you purchase the coloring book and you want to do it a certain way, then that's your call. This whole book is literally about putting in as little as possible, or what's necessary. Oops, I messed that up. Like putting in what's necessary so that you can make your decision about what you want to color, but not so much that it hinders your ability to color it. So I've tried not to do a whole lot of shading with the line art because I want you to be able to determine for yourself where the light is coming from, what color the light is, how lit the picture is, that kind of thing. Okay. And I need a brighter tone, which I'm thinking, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try it. How does that look? That is brighter. Okay. Bring that in. A little bit there. Bring it across there. A little bit back here. Maybe a little bit there. Okay. I guess I'll throw some over here. I messed up over there. I painted her leg, which is like that green chainmail that I've got. Painted that in with the armor color. Okay. So I've got that, and then of course I'm going to want a bright color. It says 15%. So that's my highlight. Put that in some of these places. Okay. So now I've got more of a silvery armor. But then I need a dark value, which we had this purple. But I'm going to go a little bit darker with it. I might even take it up into this color and take it down a good bit more. Now I'm just going to put a stroke of that in. Some of these places where I think it should be. I just want to make sure I can find that color when I get over here in a second. Okay. Oh, and let me put some right there. And I'll worry about the shield, oops, in a minute. Hell, even, zoomed out, that doesn't look that bad. I could probably have gotten away with not doing most of this work and putting the cover on, but I want it to look as good as I can make it, within a reasonable amount of time. Okay, so we're gonna go down to, no, not, it's 40% opacity, 60% flow, and we're at 100%. So the character's a little bit back in the distance, and so you don't see, like, she can't be super detailed, but we can put some detail into it. All right, and that's going to give me, see, I'm thinking kind of like a dark metallic color here. I don't know that I really want that to be like super highlighted, so I'm just going to kind of smudge that in a bit. All right. Now for her armor, for her gold trim, bring this around. Carry that gold into it some more. And of course, we're working pretty small, and I'm still using a fairly large brush, so I should shrink that down just a little bit. And so this character has these crazy shoulder pads and insane full plate armor that has all these pieces to it, but she has these sun emblems on all of her stuff. And so, see, the way I understand paladins, at like paladins and clerics, they're both kind of like religious characters, but clerics are more your priests and healers, while your paladins are more like your well, basically your warriors, like kind of like the Knights Templar or something like that. I actually was watching a thing. What's the channel called? Chronicle, I think, on YouTube. That has like a whole bunch of videos on stuff like the Knights Templar and um, medieval times and all kinds of stuff like that, which I found really interesting. I've been watching some of their videos lately, and they're definitely worth checking out if you're into that sort of thing. But they were talking about the Knights Templar were, I believe, if I remember right, they were like the main religious military force in, I think that was like the 1400s, maybe the 1600s, somewhere in there. And they were really successful because of a number of things, but then they were not the only religious military group either. There were a lot of apparently a lot of different groups that were basically training monks in combat uh, for, I guess, for various purposes. It was pretty interesting. Anyway, so that's kind of what I see the paladin as, is sort of like your knight templar or whatever, going out for their particular religious cause. Um, basically either trying to promote good or evil in the world, depending on what it is they follow. Leave this whole piece right here kind of dark because it's behind the shoulder pad and turned away from the direct light. And drop in some shadow underneath that trim because this is a new plate. Bring in an edge there. Same thing. Keep it kind of dark because it is moving. It's going across her back and away from the light. I'm just going to keep on carrying this for the moment. Go through the whole upper torso. And here, that back edge. Go. All right. That. So I don't think I actually want to have that shine. Maybe I do. I'm not sure. I can always put it back in if I don't like it. I'll level this out a bit more. Decent. And I think I do want to have that shine in there. And I might even go to the extreme of grabbing the actual white. Because I think what I put on there before was like 15%. Maybe it was white. I'm not sure. There we go. That way we've got some super shine. Let's see. We're going to do that shadow along there. Back edge. Go. Oops. I think I grabbed the black and not the brown. Oopsie. There we go. Alright, so I'm painting these pieces of trim in with that brown for the gold color. Mainly because that is darker back there. Then I'll come back and grab gold color. Just brush in some highlights. I'll grab that light yellow for just a bit more pop. I don't want it right there though. And a bit more right back here along the back edge. I could probably put just a half stroke in there. Okay. Now we'll do the same thing over here with these. And okay, so the little elbow pad right here, that's a little bit of a pain in the butt. But yeah, it's got some gold. And that keep this like the purple color. And maybe maintain the brown right there to help separate the elbow pad from the actual gauntlet. Alright, we're going to bring this in. Okay. From the hair. Brown. Well, it's more of an orange, but oh, oops, got on my button. Okay. Yellow. Grab the yellow from there. That way I know I've got the yellow. Okay. All right. So she's definitely coming together. As I said, this greenish gray stuff, that's all chainmail. And because she's at such a distance, you're not really going to see the detail of that. The only thing I could do would be to scribble it in with circles, and I don't think it's going to work out. So I'm just going to color it in nice and smooth and reduce the highlights, except for in the biggest areas. That back arm, actually do that back arm. That, grab, I'm calling it brown. I know it's still mostly orange, but it is what it is. Okay. Bring that together. Tone that blue down. And then back here. That should be good enough. All right. Coming into, yeah. Create a little bit more of a painterly shape here. Getting rid of that highlight, or at least knocking it down a couple of times. Reduce that shadow from the armor so it's about, oops, about where it belongs. Darken that one up one more time. Then the other one. Bring that around so it's nice and smooth. Let's see where we're at. So, looking at the whole image, yeah. I kind of like the mix of purple and gold that the three characters are having. It helps tie them together, but it does make my dwarves look like they don't belong. All right, so let's get that elf her finished. Brown, putting in my shadows on the trim here. Okay. Yeah, I should probably put some right there. All right, moving down into the legs. Let's start with the trim. Get that done first. I seem to have some sniffles now. Not sure what's up with that. Too much moisture in the air? Maybe I'm just getting sick. I don't know. All right. And then her knee pads are like these complicated plates that all wrap around her leg. And then drop down into the boots, which have all kinds of crazy flares in them. But we got that. Let me get the yellow. Put my highlights in right here. Maybe a little bit here. And I'm going to go ahead and put like a little bit right there. Oh, you should probably have some there. And here. That'll do. Now let's get this dark side of the armor done. Blend together. Okay, so we are coming up on 3 hours. The internet didn't cut out. Sticking with the stream. But I think I'm gonna finish this character, the paladin, and I'm gonna have to terminate my stream then, and maybe go take a nap before I get into anything else today. But I do like that we've made it this far. Trying to maintain some consistency. Trying to get things done. I got so many things to do today too if I get around to them. Oop. Shadow color for chainmail down there. Get this boot, darken it up. That. Spread that color. Go ahead. Catch my highlight tone. Go right there. Spread that a little bit. I'll put some gold back into there so it's obvious what it is. Okay. And one last thing. Go ahead and paint out that. So this is her shadow right here. So I'm just adding some of that brown color to that little seam that was from when I used a flood fill. I don't even have to worry too much about getting rid of it completely as long as it's not highly visible. Definitely less visible now. Okay, now I'm gonna get back to the shield. Now her shield is just plain. I didn't put any details into it, but I don't like it being all one color like that. Put this edge on it. You figured this would be the edge that would catch the light. And we could maybe do some there and maybe some there. And I can grab my highlight color, bring that in. Won't put any back there. But then, because we're working with less than full opacity colors, I can give this thing a little bit of like a dark edge right here and smooth that out. And we might even go ahead and put the gold edge back here as well. Maybe a little bit like a form comes in and blend the colors. There we go. Maintain some of that darkness as well. Maybe even carry some of it right here. Now that shield's a little bit more interesting looking than what it was. All right. Darken in this handle. I'm going to darken in her hand. Got the gold for her sword here, which is, of course, the same as her armor. If you're going to be a proper paladin and adventurer or whatever, your armor needs to match. All right, going back to actual white here. So her blade, I think her blade actually should glow. Maybe not glow, but I'm leaving it white. Like it's like the purest silver that yeah, something like that. See about making my eraser really small and just get rid of that little overlap. Okay. And then for the hair. So obviously I colored in her hair some with this purple color. Thing about Drow, according to the source material, they have like they actually have straight hair, and it's white. Uh, but I made her hair a little bit curly, a little bit wavy. So not really the straight hair that the source material calls for. But I like to change things up a little bit. And let's see. But I'm going to get rid of that dark color in there because I want to keep it pretty much white. And I don't want her skin or her hair color to clash with her skin color. Because her skin color is like a dark violet color, dark gray violet. Okay, that's better. Let's add a little bit more here. A little bit more here. I've got that very dark color there for like her cheekbone. I'm going to go ahead and knock down the contrast a little bit there and then try to blend it all together. Okay. Take that too. That it? That is it for her. So yeah, now I still have the Ranger and the Wizard to color, and I've still got background stuff to do, tying everything together, but I do like the way this is coming along. I think it's gonna look pretty good as my cover. And but I'm gonna go ahead and terminate the stream now. So I will be back tomorrow morning with another stream where we'll go for around 3 or 4 hours, probably, depending on what happens. We'll be working on the coloring book itself with on page 30, and yeah, I'll talk about some other things tomorrow. Maybe, yeah, talk about different things. So, once again, thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed watching me work on the cover for the coloring book, or not for the newsletter. And if you're watching me on Twitch, please give me a follow. If you're watching me on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Doing not just the live streams, but I will be doing more reviews and demonstrations in the near future. And I think I have some other projects in the works as well that I should be getting some more video stuff out there soon. Thanks again. I'll see you tomorrow.